I'm thrilled to introduce Yvonne Laanstra with over 16 years of experience as a certified designer and recipient of multiple home staging awards. Yvonne is not just a staging consultation, she's actually a magician. So when it comes to transforming spaces, Yvonne is your go-to. So Yvonne, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So Yvonne, what initially drew you to the field of property staging, and how has your journey evolved over the several years you've been involved in the business?
I took interior design at the university here in Calgary, and interior design is a very broad spectrum of things, and I needed a more of a clear focus. Home staging at that time, in 2005 or 6 I took it, was very new, and it gave me a very clear focus because staging usually has a beginning and an end, so it's more like project based, and that really spoke to me. So that's why I started staging. And the evolvement, my company, when I started, I was a full service home staging company, so I did anything and everything under the sun. I think the first month or so I was even cleaning homes and painting walls, and that clearly went into staging vacants, occupieds, and consultations. And over the years, after 14 years, I decided to focus more on occupied because it's about 80% of all the listings. And that's really where my passion is. So now I focus on occupied staging.
Awesome. That sounds amazing. It sounds like a very fulfilling career so far.
Yes, it is.
Awesome. So can you share a particularly challenging staging project that you tackled in the past and how you navigated through it to success?
Well, as you know, there's many reasons why people sell, and there's many different situations we walk into. I think the most challenging ones are the hoarder homes. I have done about 4 or 5, I think, in the past, so that's pretty overwhelming for both us and the homeowner. And that process is very much about clearing the path, getting the things packed, organized, stored, and trying to get the homeowner on board with that, because obviously hoarding is a different situation, and then still put all the principle of staging into the home, as we always do. But the biggest part is getting the owner on board and clearing out the home. That's the biggest challenge, but we manage that. So that's the biggest one.
Awesome. Good for you. With the rise of virtual and online listings, how has your role of a property stager adapted to meet the designs of the digital age that we're in today?
Well, I'm very happy to see that virtual staging has come such a long way, because in the beginning the chairs were floating and the tables were too large. My goal as a stager when I walk into a home is to overcome objections buyers might have. So even when it's vacant, so even when there's nothing in the house, we still need to look at repairs, paint, flooring, whatever reasons people might have to either not come or talk the price down, even in a market like this. And that's my goal. So that didn't really change.
Awesome. What are some innovative staging techniques or trends that you've recently incorporated into your projects?
I had to think about that. That was really hard because, of course, we know virtual staging, and I kind of fished it out of my bag. It's this little thing. And so when we come to staging, often the homes are several years older. And we always think with staging about the show homes and the brand new homes that are white and everything is put together. But in general, we enter into homes that are a little older. This actually is my little color reader. So when I have to give people the right color for the walls, I actually need to know what color the casings are. So I can put it on the casing, read the color of the casing, and give them the perfect color that comes with that. So that's my little tool.
Very cool. I learned something new as well.
There you go.
So how do you strike a balance between staying true to your artistic vision as well as catering to the diverse preferences of potential buyers?
Well, with staging, it's very different than interior design. Interior design is for the person that lives in the house. They need to love it. When it comes to staging, it's more a marketing strategy. And then it sounds maybe not so nice, but it's really true. It's it doesn't really matter what the people think about it, because it all has to do with how can we get the most beautiful marketing photos for this listing. And that has to do with how we put the furniture in the room, how we hang the artwork to guide the eyes. And that is, so it's a system. It's not so much a personal preference.
Okay, I love it. In your experience, what are the most common misconceptions homeowners have about staging, and how do you go about addressing those misconceptions?
The biggest thing I hear is that it must be expensive. And expensive is a word that people kind of throw out, but then I'm always thinking, like, what's your return on investment? That's the biggest question, really. So if you look at, say, a staging consultation, it's about around $300 for a consultation. You get all the information you need to set the house up properly and in great condition, and that might result in thousands of dollars in return on investment. So expensive is not always a good word.
Awesome, I love that answer. With sustainability becoming increasingly important, how do you integrate eco-friendly practices into your staging process?
Well, I think the staging in itself, especially occupied staging, is very friendly in that regards, because we use all the people's furniture, we use all their artwork and accessories and create the perfect palette. If you have a vacant property, we still reuse all the furniture that we brought in. So I think that's very green and friendly.
Awesome. Can you share any insider tips for homeowners looking to refresh their space without undergoing a full staging process?
My number one recommendation is cleaning. I often say, we walk into these homes that are from 1968 and they're shiny yellow oak, but they're spotless clean. That results in us trusting the fact that the people maintain the house and that we don't really expect any big challenges. If we compare that to a brand new house where, say, a tenant has lived in with a big dog and it's destroyed, that feeling of walking into that year-old house is very different from walking into an older house that's spotless clean. So my number one recommendation is always sparkling clean, no matter what, and that just takes effort.
Awesome. That's great. So how do you leverage lighting and color to enhance the ambiance and appeal of a staged property?
What's really important, and I always make people look up, within the same space, especially in the homes right now, all the spaces are pretty much all connected. The lighting in the ceiling needs to be one color, and it needs to preferably be soft toned, because that really sets the tone for how the house feels. And color connects rooms, so it's more like if we would do every room in a different color, it's very busy to walk through and it doesn't feel so cohesive. So if the light's the same color, the wall color is the same color, it just feels very calm and easy to walk through.
Well, that's amazing. It's really cool how that can play such a key and pivotal role for people.
Oh, totally.
Awesome. So as we see shifts in lifestyle preferences, how do you anticipate staging needs to evolve to accommodate for these changes?
We see that quite a lot, actually, because what we run into now, two different things. One is the homes are getting smaller. So we need to have furniture that is more lightweight looking, open arms, not fill the space completely. So the smaller units have to be addressed a little differently. And on the other hand, we see kind of multi-generational living, and that results often in a home that either has like two primary bedrooms or needs to be set up as such that all those generations can live in a house and still feel that they all have the same kind of stake in the house.
Okay, awesome. That's very, very cool. So with the rise of minimalist aesthetics, how do you ensure that staged properties feel both inviting and lived in without being completely overwhelming for the buyers?
Well, that minimalistic lifestyle, I'm a fan of that. It's like that Scandinavian feeling, everything is calm, but on the other hand, it can be boring. And that kind of it's where the eye comes back into the field, where how does it reflect in a photo? Because that is initially what brings the people in the house. And then the secondly is how can they walk through and that they feel at home. And often it's greenery, pillows in a color, beautiful larger art pieces. So instead of like all these little things on the walls, we just bring in larger pieces. and then it still feels very calm, but not boring.
Awesome. That makes a lot of sense. In today's competitive market, what are some of the key strategies that you encourage your sellers to implement and employ to make their property stand out amongst the others through staging and really capitalize on the highest sale price that they can get?
You know, it's like I said in the beginning too, it's like overcoming objections. So I always say when you push the price point of a house, you need to push the presentation of the house. So people need to kind of be wowed when they walk in. It's like, oh man, this is just awesome. This is where I want to live. So it's like luxury lifestyle elements, you know, you create vignettes that speak to people so that they can see what the perceived value of the home is. You know, they need to feel that the number that's on the house is actually reflected in what's inside. And so that's super important.
I love that. So I'm just going to repeat what you said. If you want to push the price, you have to push the presentation. I think that's huge. Very, very key. Great.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
So next question, what advice would you give to homeowners who are hesitant to invest in professional staging services?
You know, what's really important is to show them the value of staging. So what does, say, a staging consultation bring? It gives them ease of listing. You know, they know exactly what to do. So their time to market is shorter and way more focused. And then in the end result, you can show examples of, you know, like we had a house in Evergreen. Yes, they needed new carpet, they needed cleaning and paint. And the owner was very hesitant to say, oh, you know, that's a lot. He spent $11,000, which sounds like a large number, but he gained $50,000 in the end. And those are numbers that speak, you know, like it's yes, I always say, like, you know, if you sell your bike, you clean it first too. Of course, we can always list a property as is, but then the price point is also as is. So it's always like, we always want to get as much out of our biggest investment possible. And so just to put a bit of effort in, and sometimes that means just a plant or just a piece of art, and sometimes that means a new carpet.
Yes, 100%. And I always say to some of our sellers as well too, is if there is an investment that you could double your investment by doing, would you do it? And, you know, 100% of the time they say, yes, I would. So yes. I've heard, and you would know this better than me, but I think the return on investment for staging is something like 200%.
Yes.
Which
and for instance too, like paint is 400%.
Yeah, unbelievable.
So it's crazy, right? So those are really good numbers.
Yeah, and there's a lot of homeowners that want top price but aren't willing to invest to get top price. So,
well, you know, you always have to stand in the shoes of the buyer. So if you would walk through this house, because a lot of people think, oh, you know, we're done. This is kind of like finished for us. You have to look at who is coming in. And in this market especially, it's like the buyer has to go almost like to their max of what they can do to buy these properties. If you then can hand them a home, you know, that they don't really have to invest in anymore and can sit there for a while, you know, that's huge value. Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So how do you incorporate technology such as, you know, AI or augmented reality or those types of crazy technologies that we have going on in our world into the immersive experience for buyers?
You know, myself, I don't. It's usually the photographer or the videographer that puts that in place. We do keep it in mind because, you know, homes, especially when they do the 360 through the homes and you can walk through it, every corner is important. So you have to look at every space, not only from the door, because usually the photos will be taken from the door, but now it's an immersive experience. So now they have to like literally stand in every corner and the room needs to look good. So, you know, if you have a king size bed, there cannot be a queen size duvet on it with the back being empty, you know, so that might look good from the door. When the camera goes through, not so much. So we have to look at every corner.
Love it. That's great. In your opinion, what is the most impactful investments a seller can make in staging to yield the highest ROI or return on investment?
A home staging consultation, by far. It's the smallest investment with the biggest impact and the biggest return on investment.
Okay. And what exactly, for those out there who don't know, what is a home staging consultation and what does it include?
Every stager does it a little differently. I have about 4 points that I look at when I walk through a home. So one is the perspective of the photographer. How can we get the most beautiful photos for a space? So I look at furniture placement, art and accessory placement, and that is also connected with the flow of the house. So how can people walk through the home without having anything in their way, right? If they have to shimmy through things or can barely get into the living room because the sectional is there, I look at that. I always give heads up that people are allowed to open the cabinets and closets in the house, so safety aspects and interior, and then I address anything that is broken, needs fixing or updating. So that's my staging consultation.
Awesome, that's cool. That sounds really valuable to have that for sellers. That's great.
Yes, it's a wonderful start because it can include, the right color on the wall. It can be the right carpet on the floor. So it's a little bit bigger than just walking through and telling them where to put the pillows.
Awesome. And how do you navigate cultural or regional differences in staging preferences, particularly in a diverse city such as Calgary?
Yes, very important. And I've never really walked into a house where people don't understand that. You come across different religions, different presentations, people have things on the walls, prayer rooms and things like that. So between cultures, sometimes there's no understanding about that. And so what I usually say is focus on the most beautiful listing photos. So we take those elements away for photography, and that also has to do not just like religious things, but also political stuff, which can be a huge discussion point in a house. We take those things away, make the beautiful photos, and then if people feel they need to bring that back for showing because they have a great value for themselves, I always say, please put it back, because walking through a property is very different than looking at it on a photo.
Awesome. That makes a ton of sense as well. Can you share any sort of behind the scene anecdotes or funny stories from your experiences as a staging professional?
Well, I can't share much because I walk through people's private spaces and I keep that very much to myself. There is one incident that really raised every hair on my head. I walked into a basement and there was a 8-foot clown, motion sensor clown, and I walked around the corner and it was like, I couldn't breathe for 10 minutes. That was not a good moment.
Clowns can be scary on their own, right?
Yeah, right? And then they move. It was not good. No.
Oh my gosh, wow. No wonder you're still in the business.
Yes, I'm still here.
Awesome. So looking ahead, what trends or innovations do you anticipate shaping the future landscape of property staging?
Well, if we look at colors, we're all moving away from white. It's going to be much more warmer, light floors, warmer colors, all the grays out. If we look at products, laminate flooring is coming back instead of vinyl plank, which is a huge change and a good one, I think. And then instead of like trends, it will just be lighter and brighter and a little less stuff. That's what I kind of anticipate.
Awesome. Minimalist is gonna keep moving forward.
It just calms the mind, makes everything simple. And the good thing with that when you're selling is that the focus will be on the house and not so much on the stuff in the house.
Awesome. Great advice. So the next portion is basically going to be, I'll ask you a question if you could respond with one word.
Okay.
All right. So Yvonne, coffee or tea?
Definitely coffee.
Coffee. Awesome. Beach or mountains?
Oh, both, I have to say.
Both. Okay. Books or movies?
Books.
Books. Okay. Summer or winter?
Summer.
Summer. Okay. City or countryside?
Countryside.
Cooking or dining out?
Cooking.
Netflix or YouTube?
Netflix.
Netflix. Okay. Traveler or homebody?
Oh, traveler. Absolutely.
Traveler. Excellent. Rain or sunshine?
Ooh, I can enjoy rain, but I think I prefer sunshine.
Awesome. Introvert or extrovert?
Very extrovert, yes.
Okay, extrovert. Vintage or modern?
Ooh, I think vintage. Yeah, that has my heart. Yeah.
Excellent. Dream destination?
Ooh. I think Bora Bora.
Bora Bora, amazing. Hidden talent?
It's hard to. I'm a painter. I paint. I love landscapes and store windows. Yeah.
Very cool. Comfort food?
Lasagna.
Lasagna. Guilty pleasure?
Chocolate, always.
Awesome. I have to agree.
Yeah.
Childhood nickname?
Oh, that came from my nephew not being able to say the V, so I became Tony.
Tony. Awesome. Favorite hobby?
Hiking.
Role model?
I think my parents, yes.
Oh, that's a good answer.
Yes.
Spirit animal?
Eagle.
Eagle.
Yeah.
Well, amazing. Thank you so much, Yvonne, for your time.
Oh, yeah. This was so much fun. Thank you for having me.